So, angle of elevation, angle of depression. Don't make these harder than they are, but they sort of get confusing. When you're dealing with angle of elevation, angle of depression, the first thing you always got to think of is that the angle always starts from your line of sight straight out. Alright? So you're always starting from this line. If I look up, that's an angle of elevation. If I look down, that's an angle of depression. Okay? Now the bad thing with this is, if I say something like, I'm standing on top of this building, and my angle of depression is 30 degrees. Is that my angle of depression? My angle of depression starts out here and goes there, so it's that angle. The bad thing is, normally if we're doing something with this building, we're probably dealing with this triangle. Is that angle part of that triangle? But what always happens with this, if that's my angle of depression, and Joseph's standing down here looking up at me, that would be his angle of elevation. Guess what's true about those two angles every time? They gotta be the same. What do they form there? A Z, which are alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles. So even though that angle's not in the triangle that we're dealing with, we can just move it right to there. Alright, so that's going to work every time with angle of elevation, angle of depression. Sometimes you won't have to worry about that. If I'm standing here on the ground and there's an airplane flying right here in the sky, and I look up at the airplane, that's an angle of elevation. Our triangle's right here. We don't really have to worry about anything. Now the other thing you may have to worry about, if I'm trying to find the height this airplane is off the ground, is that right there the height it is off the ground? Not completely. Because you got this distance that could be added to it.
I think they said something like that on
Right. Now, sometimes that distance might not make a difference. If I'm looking up at an airplane and the airplane's thousands of feet in the air, is this extra 4 or 5 feet going to make any difference? Probably not. But if I'm looking at the ceiling or looking at some bug crawling up there along the crack in the ceiling and the wall, back on track, Gentry. Forget about the bug. He's not really there. I won't let anything hurt you. Just like your folks are going to watch this and they're going to say, why were you scared of a bug? So if I'm looking up there, that distance from here to here is going to make a difference how far that bug is off the ground, because it's a big proportion or a big portion of that total distance. So on your notes, did everybody get this filled in? Nothing really hard. I think you just had to fill in angle of elevation, angle of depression, right?
Yeah.
Think you can handle all that? So are we ready? I think the pin's already on. Is it writing? Yeah. Draw the triangle and everything. When you're writing with this pen, not Fletcher, you go right ahead and just keep doing what when you're writing with the pen, make sure you're making your triangle big enough, because we need to label everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to be able to see what you're labeling, and I know on the paper it's hard to do sometimes. If you look at my paper, it looks pretty messy because when I label everything, everything's all on top of each other.
Start on one side and go all the way to the other.
Next one. What's it from here? This is what I'm talking about. Alright, so when you did that problem, got your triangles. 28 degrees, 32, that's X, that's a right angle.
Yeah, I think.
This is how
Just
we
pick whatever one you want.
triangle.
This goes order.
Second.
That's your opposite. That's the hypotenuse. This is the adjacent. We care about these two this time. We don't care about the hypotenuse. We care about them because we're looking for the opposite and we know the adjacent. Opposite and adjacent. So the TOA. Opposite and adjacent is the TOA part. So that's the tangent. So when we set up our equation, we write down tan, the angle we picked, equals, and the fraction. TOA is O then A. So O over A. So opposite over adjacent. Now what I was saying, we take our calculator and we do, on your calculator, you get tan 28.
Hold on,
Just like
I'll
that.
find it for you, Lily.
So I do 28 tan, that gives me that. I write that right below there,
It's
5.5317
.0130.
equals x over 32. I put a 1 underneath that, so it makes it proportional. Then I cross multiply. 1 times x is just 1x. Then when I cross multiply the other way, you guys got
Yeah, we're finding an angle this side.
17.0.
So you type in the fraction.
My bad, I didn't see
You see how
that.
I'm saying
Because you
go
don't know your end.
My bad.
that way you don't confuse yourself.
God,
Alright?
it's so deep. It's 49.
Yep.
And what number is it?
10. I just say we go with that.
Can I clear this?
What?
Can I clear it?
No, not yet. So, I'm confused. Where's the answer at?
49 degrees.
So we were looking for an angle this time?
Yeah.
So, if we're looking for an angle, you can just type it into your calculator. What do you get on your calculator? Once you have the equation written. Second sine 12 divided by 16, close the parenthesis, and hit equals. And it'll tell you the angle. And if we're finding angles, we round it off to the nearest
Whole number.
whole number. So 49 degrees, everybody agrees with that?
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, you can clear it if you want. Next one. The
Gentry.
lovely and talented Gentry. Sam, if Gentry passes out, you gotta save him. Make him go to the board, he's gonna have a heart attack. Everybody goes up there, I want you to draw your triangle, label it, opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse, write your equation, then solve your equation. Drawing your arrows backwards. That one you did. You want to start with the angle and go the right angle you did alright, but you want to start with the angle and go to the side. So that 5 is the what? 5 is the side.
Minus the opposite.
The X is the angle that we want to deal with. The 5 is the what? Help about Joseph.
Opposite, you just.
That's opposite.
Just
So
flip your arrow around.
that doesn't matter. Just tell him what to write next to the 5.
Opposite. OPP. Then 12 would be adjacent, so AD.
Yeah. Opposite has a number, doesn't it? Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Hypotenuse.
Ebersole minus, but since you have the opposite and adjacent, that's tangent. And since you're finding an angle.
That rough,
the
wavy.
second-
So then make sure you don't.
The second tangent.
Joseph, you better, Sam, you better help him, because Joseph's getting ready to go way ahead and confuse the crap out of him again.
Okay, so you're gonna do tangent, and since you don't know the angle
X.
of it, it's gonna be
X.
tangent.
You just press the second.
There you go. Joe, I'm getting ready to throw something at you.
I'm helping him.
No, you're not. You're
The
confusing
opposite,
it.
which is 5.
Same as you did with
Or
Fletcher.
the adjacent, which is 12.
Gotta set up the equation every time, every time.
So I'm gonna do that. So that's gonna equal
Who else thinks that we ought to give Joseph a different packet that's got a lot harder problems on it, where he can't just do it this easy and think that he's helping everybody? 'cause
I
he-
thought he was there. That's why I said that, because I thought that's where he was.
Are we done after that?
Done trying to make
6.6?
I did second.
I got
5
23.
divided by 12.
oh
It
wait,
shouldn't be that, it should be.
you should
I
press the
did, I
second
got
button.
6.557.
I
Just
got
see your
that.
calculator again.
I got
Maybe it's on the
22.6.
wrong mode.
22.6 is the right answer, so it's 23. Round it.
Yeah.
Yes, Joseph.
Look, if you're doing it on your calculator, you're gonna have to do this.
Okay, now circle the answer, didn't
We
you?
can change it, right? So we can press on with different else.
Yeah, it's 23, because we could round to the nearest whole number. For that, I have to see
You're gonna
that.
do that. I think you're gonna have to.
Put my handwriting is awful from back
Your
here.
calculator is what it's doing. It's doing PIN dots, the order of operation. So it's doing just the 5 there. And that, and divide that into
23.
5.
It's 23.
Or could I just do 5 divided by 12 and take the change of that?
Yeah, so you could just do 5 divided by 12, it equals, and then hit second tangent, and type that in, and it should give you the same answer. If you're having trouble, make sure you're watching, when, especially, somebody gets up there and knows what they're doing, watch what Julie is doing, so that you try to understand. Don't think when you're done, you're not done either. We're going more than once.
70, so it'd be 76.
Everybody agree with that?
Yep. Alright.
My answer's right.
She knows.
Just like that.
Yeah. You can put it.
Huh.
Hold on, don't clear it. Oh. No, I'm just kidding.
What? What?
He said, Mr. Ebersole, come up here and sit beside me so I can pay attention here and make sure I'm understanding all this.
I did hear Joey say that. Isn't that wild?
Me? What?
Write what they're writing, so you can understand how to do it. Gentry, I don't have to come back here and tell you this, right?
Sign mine.
You're drawing in the arrows and following along, right?
Yes.
I was just making sure she knew Sam.
She already did this on the head shot, I know.
Actually do the job for everybody.
Kind of round. It's a full of it. You know, you don't even know.
All these finding angles.
I'm done asking
Majority of
questions.
them. Well, some no.
Or we just have a few of them in a row
I think
here.
it goes 5 and 5.
Again, if you're finding an angle, what's the first thing you're gonna hit on your calculator?
Second.
The second button. If you're looking for an angle, you're gonna hit the second button on your calculator. So when Fletcher punches this into his calculator, God, it does turn on. When Fletcher punches this into his calculator,
I just say.
Who's up?
so
You, Joseph.
you're gonna hit
No, that
second.
what?
Hold on a second.
No,
Before
no,
Joseph
no,
goes,
that goes-
second
Oh,
sign,
okay.
and then you type in. Stop, Joseph. Sit down for a second. Then you're gonna type in 39 divided by 44. Close the parentheses. It equals. And it's gonna say error.
Oh, big.
Can I go up there now?
62.4, and Maya rounded off to 62. So that angle is 62 degrees.
Why does it say error?
Somewhere close to that. You probably forgot when you punch something in, you punched it. Because remember, what did we say about the sine and cosine last time? They should always be less than what? 1. So if Maya had messed up on that one, everybody grab your calculator and do this. Second sine 44 divided by 39. And then close the parenthesis and it equals. Huh? It's going to say error because 44 is bigger than 39, right? So that would make the sign larger than 1. That won't work. You can't have a sine or a cosine that's bigger than 1. So if you put your fraction wrong for sine or cosine, it could give you the wrong. It could give you the error. Go ahead, Joseph.
Wait, so then.
Good. And you're using the opposite.
Okay. No, we're not. So which two do we care about? Right. So we're not using the cake. We're using.
Sign.
Should we screw with Joseph?
Alright.
Hold on, Joseph. What's 260?
Oh, that's the opposite.
Oh, that's opposite. Oh, I see. Come back. I'm sorry.
No, I figured it out.
Yeah. I just wanted to mess with Joseph since he's not dumb. He just confuses other people because he tries to go too fast. Makes it hard on my friend Fletcher here to learn sometimes. Wow. Is this an angle also? So again, label the triangle opposite adjacent hypotenuse. Figure out which trig ratio you're using, sine, cosine, or tangent. Set up your equation, then solve the equation.
No, I shouldn't have figured it out. I believe it's sign.
Oh, we finally got one that wasn't an angle, didn't we? So look at what she has set up. Just 1 second, Sam. Sine 59 equals, sine 59 equals x over 17. Sine 59 equals x over 17.
What? Do we, so do we run through the nearest attempt and not answer, or do we do the four?
If we're finding
And sine is 10.
we're finding a side, right? Now you gotta be careful because the first thing you gotta find is what? The sine of 59. So grab your calculators and type in the sine of 59. I really wish you guys would quit putting that 0 in front of the decimal.
8571.
So write that down right there. It goes on top there. One underneath that. And what's in the other fraction still?
I gotta write my comment.
Now you cross multiply.
We're
One
probably
times
gonna
x is just x, right?
I'm not doing it.
I got 14.5.
So when you-
round up.
When you do this multiplication, that's gonna be your answer once you round it up. She got 8.
It's like 14.
Ooh, Fletcher got 14.5.
Oh, I guess if you keep
No,
going.
hold on. You typed in here, the 0.8517, it's supposed to be 8571. You have it written down right here.
I still got like right there with it.
But it's, as long as you're not working for NASA, I guess.
If I ever go there, I'll be amazed.
Yeah, Joey.
As long as you're not building a house for me or anything, because
How'd you know my job for the summer?
I was close. I don't know why the two walls didn't come all the way
Like every house in
together.
New Paris, it's got a little slant to it. You've heard of the Pains ladies in California? You've got the tilted ladies in New Paris. I blame you.
I knew I wasn't gonna live there, so. Oh man, this was a 30, 60, 90 triangle. I would have just done it that way. L is 8.5. And we're finding, oh, the answer is 8.5. Make your decimal bigger.
Yeah, I would guess.
Yippee.
He was about to write you when you said the answer.
Is that a 60-degree angle?
Oh yeah, whoops.
It's out.
Yeah?
Elliot, it's your turn.
60, 17.
Hold on a second.
Oh, here you go.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. The adjacent side's 8.5, my fault. Somebody help me out on your calculator, because I don't have my calculator laying here. Somebody do 8.5 times the square root of 3. 8.5 times the square root of 3.
14.7.
Oh, that's what it was, my fault.
Mr. Ebersole, you said it needs to.
Come on, you don't have to wait on this. We're on 19, right? Here, I'll help you out a little bit on this one. That's a square, so it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle. Alright, so we wrote over here about what triangles, if we're gonna use this, unless you remember all 45, 45, 90 stuff. We got that. That's X. That's 18, is that what it says? Pick one of the two angles, which one is it? That side gets labeled what? Yep. Draw an arrow from the right angle over. What's that side get labeled? And what's the third side get labeled? Adjacent. Alright, so now we have all that. Now, which two sides do we care about?
The 18, 45.
That's 45 is an angle. Which sides do we care about? the adjacent? Did they tell you to find it? No. What side did they tell you to find? So we care about the hypotenuse and the opposite. So those two. I use it for a time. Look up there, just look at Toa. Which trig ratio deals with opposite and hypotenuse? What's opposite start with? What's hypotenuse start with? Which one up there has the O and the H in it? The sine. So we write down sine. Then our angle. What's our angle? Alright, so sine 45 equals opposite over hypotenuse. What's
Allie, I
the
think it's
opposite?
your turn. I think it's your turn.
Okay. Now we take our calculator and we find the sine of 45. So if you listen to me when I'm just showing you up there. Little one. I don't, if you do it this way, that's fine. Alright, this is sort of gone now. Don't even think about that.
It's a 90-45
Fletcher,
triangle.
look at me.
What? 45-90 triangle?
Rewriting this over again, down below, so that it confuse you like I showed you. You want to just take the easy way out and not have to rewrite this part.
Isn't that?
That annoys me.
Work smarter, not harder, man.
Now we cross multiply. When you cross multiply that way, what's that give you? That times that, right? So just write it down. 0.7071 times x
Do it.
equals, cross multiply the other way, what do you get? 18. How do you get x by itself? By 5. 18. 5 goes up, no. Which would be x? What do you multiply x by? Zero. Right. So to get x by itself, what do you want to divide by? Right. So you divide both sides by that number. Write it down here. If you divide that side by that number, what do you got to divide the other side by? So you do the same thing. Well, what do you do with x?
27.
This is for Ebersole.
Yes.
On 19, how do we do this? 45.
Use 45 degree angle. Ah, what was the answer to the last one? I missed it.
13.5.
Which number was that?
17.
I didn't get that.
I got 10.3.
I got that.
I got 24.9.
On number 17?
Yeah. I could have done it.
Would you
Yeah, I got
use?
24.9.
Tangent, 40.
I
You
use
used
sine.
I
It
use
should be
cosine.
I use sine.
Oh wait, what are we looking at?
Number
Sine,
17.
yes.
I use-
24.9.
I got 10.3.
I got 24.9.
So confused.
It's
Okay,
sine.
go back.
It's
So,
sine because there's
we
16
can't, that's,
eggs.
Here,
It's opposite hypotenuse. Opposite hypotenuse.
I don't
is
think you
sine.
can go back. No, don't.
That was the
There is
one
a
part. I haven't
different
even started. That was 20.
Alright.
I hadn't even started it. I'll read it.
Look,
Which one is this
Listen, what did
then?
you use?
17?
just look.
I said that was wrong. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
sine.
dude, that's the opposite. So
Mhm.
opposite.
And how about one?
Sine. Opposite.
Sine, I use sine too, but how did you get 10.3 when you have to divide
So look,
your sine to
See,
sine
alright.
40, you have to divide it by
That's
60.
alright.
This still have fun.
Where's the opposite side?
You would cross multiply.
So right off
And
the
then
bat.
you would divide
Right.
60.
Okay.
This number.
And then we're dealing with opposite over adjacent. It's tan.
And you're not doing adjacent, you're doing opposite by
You want that
hypotenuse.
one?
You're not doing, you don't
That
have
one, right?
it.
'Cause that's our
You're
X.
not 60.
Okay.
That's
Which
it.
trig ratio
That's what I
deals
did
with
wrong.
opposite hypotenuse?
So it is.
So we do sine.
Which I don't get.
Well, it'd be sine 40.
It'd be sine 40, then
Sine 40 over x. Right there, find the sine of 40. Watch, I'm gonna show you this time. Just gonna start doing it.
Yeah, I think Julia's right.
I didn't even have time to rewrite it.
Look, ready? 64, 27,
I forgot.
over 1.
Sam, which one do you want?
17.
17
Oh.
over x.
Alright,
And we
now
cross
it's
multiply. That's just gonna give you 0.6427
So it'll
times x,
come
right?
out to be 0.64
What does that give you?
What did I do?
It's just 16, so we divide.
8
Exactly. By that.
divided by 16.
Then
You do
round it off,
16
that's gonna be
divided
your
by
answer.
0.6428.
See, I just screwed up because I did the thing.
Yeah, you don't use tangent.
So that'll be
24.9.
that's
Are we where we need to be now? What,
yeah.
what are we on
We
now?
just redid 17, so it's x equals 24.9.
So where we at?
So
We're back at Fletcher?
Yeah.
Which ones haven't we done?
19 and 20.
We haven't done
that's it.
19? That's a good one. When Fletcher draws this up here, he's only gonna draw one of the triangles. When you take that square and you draw a diagonal into it, what kind of triangles are formed? What are the two angles?
45, 45.
So the angles are 45, 45, 90. Pointer options. Yep. Erase. All, erase all.
Would take this one. You have to
No.
do-
Erase all econs like.
I can't see anything.
This
Okay,
one.
Pointer options.
Which would be this.
Now you have to go back to pointer options. And then,
So it's a square, do you want me to?
Just draw one of the triangles so that we don't have to, make sure you put the number up there so that we don't, because I got confused. I think that's where I got confused.
Wait, are we going on to the back after we finish the page?
We're going on to the first page. Back to the first page.
They already announced it.
And Miss
Yeah.
King.
yeah, I got a letter. I said.
Some people like, hey, Maya, how many days has Clifton missed? Huh?
Like 15.
Did he not get a letter?
I don't know, they haven't switched their mail over to the orange registers yet.
What happened to him? He missed more than 6.
Mine, how am I not CDC to the what's it worth about? So I think it's that they still have. I got probably in there.
Wait, can you do the first one with me or something?
I'm gonna do one on the board here in a minute. That's all right, you're close enough. What's it still equal on that other side? So write that down. Equals, no, don't you dare. Now we cross multiply.
Well, the 18 was supposed to be over at.
Oh, yeah, one of them's an X, you just forgot a bar. There you go. Now, if you don't want to bend down, just scoot over. Yeah, just scoot over there, and so when you cross multiply, Fletcher, what do you get?
So you can go for 25.
No, when you cross multiply, what do you get? You're skipping steps.
Yeah. So it's-
0.7071
Yeah.
X.
Alright, so write that down. So just tell me what it is. That's why I said you didn't have to do it down there on the bottom again. You could have stood up and did it somewhere else. You forgot something. What'd you forget? You took that times what?
Times.
What was the 0.7071? Look at your cross multiply.
You cross multiply by X.
So. Okay, good.
You're this. You're cross multiplying here, right? So you're taking this times what? Yeah, you forgot your x right there. Just put a little x in there. And then when you cross multiply the other way, what do you get? 18. Then, what's the next thing you have to do? Divide both sides by. And you end up with what? Quit putting that extra equal sign in there.
It just makes more sense in my head.
It doesn't make any sense.
It makes more sense to me.
You can't have two equal signs in any math problem. It's wrong.
In you.
No, it's
Makes
wrong.
sense to me.
It's wrong for everybody.
If I still get the right answer, does it matter?
Yeah.
I mean,
You confuse yourself when you do it. That's what.
no, you guys confused. I had it all going. In my head, I was there. I was gonna give you the right answer one way or another.
We need 18 like 5 for this.
18 is 6 by 6.
Conversation.
Oh.
Okay, that was.
You did, I feel.
Okay, let's go.
We need 20 dollars.
Ebersole.
Something like that.
Do the.
Ebersole. Come on.
My wife's gonna be.
We want to do math problems.
I
Like the time
I'm
now.
out of breath because of that conversation.
You just ignored me.
Really? I'm glad you realized that. Turn back to the first page.
Wait, we're not gonna do 20.
Oh, I thought we did 20. Oh, all right. I'll do 20 real quick.
Joey has
I already did
18
20.
is 32.
What you get?
I did
Yeah.
too.
You said 6.
Everybody hasn't done it yet.
I know, but I did it.
32.
Dude.
I'm already up here and I don't feel like going
What'd you
sitting back
say?
down. and
That's
coming
the
back up.
answer?
Yeah.
28.
It's 28.
Never. Joey, just put
Is
whatever.
everybody watching? So I don't know how many more of these problems I could do, and you got to understand which angle are we dealing with. So mark that angle.
14 is opposite.
And you should be doing this on your paper. Everything that I'm doing, I'm not doing it because I enjoy doing it. That's got nothing to do with it. All right? I'm doing it because this is what you need to do so that you can accomplish these problems. The side across from the 14 degree or from the 30 degree angle
Opposite.
is the opposite. So you label that opposite leg.
X is the hypotenuse.
That side is the hypotenuse. This other side is the adjacent. Which two do we care about this time?
Opposite.
Opposite and the hypotenuse. We don't care about the adjacent. We look over here at our SOHCAHTOA. Which trig ratio deals with opposite and hypotenuse?
Fine.
So when we write our equation, we write sine the angle. Well, what angle are we dealing with?
30.
30.
So sine of 30 equals the fraction bar, opposite over hypotenuse. What's the opposite?
14 over
14 over
X.
x.
But that's easier.
Once we have this, that's our equation. If we're doing this on the test, you label your triangle this way, I probably give you a point. You show me that you know how to write the equation, I probably give you a point. Alright? Then the rest of it, probably another point. What is the sine of 30? Grab your calculator and type in sine of 30. Not second or anything else, just sine of 30.
5.
0.5? Really? Nothing else?
It's 0.5.
Huh.
Your usual number is your answer.
Then we do this, 14 over x. What do I put underneath this? Put a 1 underneath that. Now it's a proportion. And I cross multiply. When I multiply this way, 0.5 times x.
25
So I just write down 0.5 x. I cross multiply this way. What's 1 times 14? 14. Divide both sides by 0.5. These cancel out, leave me with x equals what?
28.0.
I got 20.
28 exactly.
I thought if we were finding the side, we had to go to the decimal.
We should, but let's go back to this problem. What kind of special triangle was this?
30, 60, 90.
30, 60, 90. We said last time, let me redraw this because I'm confusing myself with all this extra stuff on here. If this angle's 30, this angle's 60, we know this is 14. The The side across, when we did the 30, 60, 90, the side across from the 30-degree angle got labeled L. Side across from the 60-degree angle, L times the square root of 3. Side across from the right angle got labeled 2 times L. We look at this right here, what's that tell us L equals? 14. We're trying to find this side. We don't care about this square root of 3 side this time. So if L is 14, what do I stick in place of L right there?
14,
What's 2 times 14?
28. So we wouldn't,
So that way, the 30, 60, 90 to me this time would have been a little simpler. Flip back to the first page.
Yeah.
We still got 20, or 1 through 8. Those are part of what? We'll just go back.
It's only 30. It won't be that bad.
Pick me a problem off that page.
1.
Number 1.
You're gonna.
Watch closely, because again, you're going to come up here. Well, we might run out of time, but you're still going to have to do these. 42. Does that say 42?
Yes.
Yeah.
5 on that side. Notice each question has 3 blanks. Well, that probably tells you that each question has what? 3 answers. So we're trying to find the 2 missing sides and the missing angle. How hard is it to find this missing angle?
You just have to take 42 plus
Plus
90
90.
subtracted from 1.
Now, an easier way, and we talked about this when we first started talking about right triangles. These 2 angles should add up to be how much?
Oh, no, shoot.
90.
Not bad.
So all you really have to do is take 90 minus 42. What is 90 minus 42?
48.
So that's your first answer. Finding the angle is pretty easy. We now know that that angle's 48 degrees. The bad thing is now, Joseph, you got more choices again, right? And we know as soon as I give you that many choices, it gets confusing. Now we're going to find these 2 sides. I don't know what these 2 sides are, so we'll just make that one X, that one Y. Is that all right? Just use any 2 variables. Joey wants to use J, Joseph wants to use J and G, go right ahead, I don't care. Whatever. Pick an angle.
48.
If we pick the 48-degree angle, that side gets labeled D, opposite leg. 5 is the hypotenuse. Y is the adjacent. Now, this time we actually care about all of them. So we can't just get rid of one. But we're going to get rid of one while we find the other. Alright? So you got to pick which variable do you want to use or find first.
X.
X. And we're going to use this side and, are we going to use this side?
No.
No, we don't want 2 variables in the same problem. So we're going to use this side and what else?
Hypotenuse.
The hypotenuse. Which trig ratio deals with opposite and hypotenuse?
Sine.
So we do the sine. What's our angle?
48.
48 is the one we picked. Equals
X over
opposite over hypotenuse. What's the opposite? X over the hypotenuse. It's 5.
And then comes up to be 0.743.
So sine of 48 is what?
0.7431.
Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
That equals x over 5 still, right?
Yep.
What do we put underneath this?
1, I believe.
Now we cross multiply. 1 times x gives you what? 1x, or just x. So that's nice because now we're not going to have to divide. We multiply this way. What's 5 times that number? 3.7155.
Yeah.
Now we want to round it off because that's a side, right? So what are we going to round that off to?
3.7.
3.7. That's our second answer. Now, we found this, so let's get rid of it. What else do we still have to find?
One.
So now, we're dealing with the hypotenuse and the adjacent. Which trig ratio deals with adjacent and hypotenuse? The cosine, so the part there.
I would enter hypotenuse.
So, cosine, what's our angle that we picked?
42.
We picked the 48, didn't we? Equals the A over H, so Y over 5. That's our equation. Now, next thing, we grab our calculator, find the cosine of 48, 6691. Anybody else get that?
Oh, well.
That equals Y over 5, right? Put a 1 underneath that. Cross multiply, what's 1 times Y? Y. Cross multiply this way, what's 5 times 0.6691? 3.34. We're gonna round that off to what? How long is this side in this triangle?
That side is
3.7. How long is this side in this triangle? 3.3. How big is this angle in that triangle? That's solving a triangle. When you find all the missing parts of a triangle, you solved the whole triangle. You found everything.
So I do mine.
So we got, how many problems are on that second page? 11 problems?
Wait,
11 out of a total of 20?
And we got number 1 done.
Yeah, should I count that one?
Yes.
Alright, we'll go
we
with
wanted
12.
to do sign for
12 problems out of 20. Somebody help me out. What's 12 divided by 20? So 0.6. That means what you have to do on the rest of the packet, what did we say? You did 0.6. What did I say we were going to do?
Multiply that by the
I didn't understand what you're saying again.
We were going to take this away.
Take it away.
So how much is left out of 100% is 0.6?
I need a brown, blue.
If you had $1, 0.4. So you got to do
I should figure it out, it's
0.4.
fine, don't worry.
How many problems are there left? There's 40 plus, how many on the front page? 7 on the front, so 47.
He said you don't.
Somebody help me out, what's 47 times 0.4? You gotta do at least, you gotta do 19 problems.
Oh, why?
Any that you do more than that, I'll count as extra credit. And none of you need any extra credit if you haven't looked at your grades here lately. I'm being very sarcastic.
We all have 100.
Not all of us.
No, you don't.
Not all of us, Joey.
Did you look at it today?
I don't think that's.
When?
What?
I'll look right now.
Not, you won't have after I put in the grades for the day.
Don't you dare.
I was gonna say, do you have grade like
We're gonna be in the
sheet
middle
with my grade on it right now?
What?
Or is moving like
I got some more to put in,
Move up to date.
a little bit. I still have stuff to put in,
Yeah, I
like
still got-
the papers I collected today, I don't have in there.
But everything else that we've done.
No, not everything.
Bro, we're gonna be in
There's
the
like
middle school.
all that quiz the other day, I had to put in there. Do the packet, 20 or 19 problems, at least. We should just take a test next time,
No, thank you.
right?
Like right here.
No, thank you.
maybe.
Canada,
You can do it, it'll take you a reasonable amount of time, but
I think I do.
My grades are.
That.
what do you have there now?
I have a 69.
Dude, I went from like 90 to an 80.
What's harder about that one?
Which is not a big drop.
Oh, did read
What?
So you're saying you're lazy, you don't
I
wanna
turned
do
it
that?
in.
Yep. I do it.
I could really need your help packing, but
Okay, mine still rounds up to 300.
Wait, well, this grade is below person.
Ah, Fletcher, we keep forgetting you gotta make up that quiz.
Oh,
Yeah, I should put in that zero, shouldn't
No, I can do it Monday.
I? Don't forget.
I know, today I totally didn't think about it. Yesterday I meant to, and then.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
I know.
Hunter
See you,
saving
Mr.
myself
Ebersole.
up
Have a
at
good
my
weekend.
car. It's